What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode here, the Desai Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts on the side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of Desai Guys, is Tad Desai. And Tad, I know it's the beginning of a new season, and I think because of that, we sort of had to change things up with our YouTube episodes. People haven't caught it yet. We have a new intro for our episodes this season. I felt it was perfect to debut it as we get into today's episode. We are doing our 2023 season preview show, so I figured it was appropriate to debut our new intro. So, Tad, really quick, just how are you feeling about the new season? And more importantly, how'd you feel about that new intro?
I feel a lot better about the new intro than I do the new season. That's for sure. But real quick, Amir, who made that new intro?
That'd be courtesy of yours truly. I took some time to create the new intro there for us, so we can always spice it up every single season, update with some different players there for sure. So, yeah, we'll see what happens next season. We may have a new intro, so you never know about that. So,
credit where it's due. That new intro is sick. I love it. And you did get my approval before you implemented it, which is much appreciated. And, this is going to be a great season in terms of fantasy. It's going to be a great season in terms of gambling. It's not going to be a great season in terms of the team's jersey I'm wearing. This is going to be a rough year. I don't even know. So for our podcast listeners, I am wearing an authentic game jersey for Jonathan Taylor. I don't even know if he's going to be on this team in 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
This is rough. I hate it. I don't like it. So, no, I feel much better about our intro. I feel much better about our podcast than I do about the Colts season, but it'll be okay. This is why we do the podcast. It's therapy for me.
Silver lining, it is a very, very nice jersey. So your friends really
that.
Go all out.
No, they did do a good job. That's the worst part. That's what makes it even worse. But okay, anyway, who are you wearing? Is that McCaffrey?
So I know we talked about this in our last
I feel like we're at the Oscars, by the way. Like, who are you wearing?
Seriously, that's exactly how you phrased it too. It was ridiculous. So I know we talked about it our last. I know you talked about it in our last episode. You wanted to pull out the jersey last week, but I was like, nope, save it for this episode specifically. Figured it's more appropriate that our way that we wear our team respective jerseys for our season preview show. So one of the things that I usually do, Tad, with jerseys, I go classic. So then I don't have to worry about any trades. I don't have to worry about anything. So I'm pulling it up here, maybe a little bit hard to tell, but I got the 21. So I got Frank Gore going on right now. So I feel like that's
it's not Gucci then. It's not Gucci. Damn it. Well, I lost that bet.
But yeah, most of my jerseys are of Hall of Fame retired players that, really made their mark with the Niners for sure. So
now that's fair. That's fair.
With the classic.
I will say this though. I do have a Peyton Manning jersey. Here's my one quote unquote issue with my Peyton Manning jersey. It's signed by Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney, and Pat McAfee.
Yeah. Never wear that.
No.
I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's one of my biggest pet peeves. It's anybody who has a jersey that is signed, they wear it out in public, especially to a game. I'm like, no, you're going to ruin that jersey.
I do not trust that drunk fan behind me to not spill his peanuts and beer all over me. Absolutely not.
Peanuts, beer, like the hot dog with the mustard and ketchup. It's like, nope, I'm not doing it. Can't do it.
God forbid that man has relish.
Yeah, really quick tangent. I remember me and my sister went to an Applebee's like ages ago, and they were doing like a theme night. And so all the waiters and waitresses were wearing jerseys of a specific team. Our waitress was wearing a signed Sharks jersey. I was like, no. You can't be doing
Sharks. Especially Sharks. You don't have a lot of good players there.
It doesn't matter. Just the fact that it was a signed jersey. I was like, you're a waitress. You are bound to get spilled on by something. So I was just like, ooh. Bad form.
It's rough.
But
it's rough. It's
It
rough.
is what it is. But Tad, I know you're not super stoked for the Colts season, but hopefully the overall season should be pretty good. Like you said, hopefully we should have some good betting going on this year. We'll definitely have a lot of great fantasy stuff going on this year. So, I mean, overall, I think there's a lot to look forward to, even if the Colts are not on that list.
It's going to be a disaster. We'll touch on that. Trust me, we will touch on that.
Yeah, that will come up in a segment a little bit later today for sure. So, but yeah, let's start at the very top here, Tad. Let's start it out with the end of the season awards. So, I mean, this is something that we've done the past few years. Let's really quickly go through the awards and who we think is going to win it, and just a really quick reason why as to why we think they're going to win it. So, Tad, just go through all your awards. No need to alternate here, and just go through all of them.
All right. Well, I mean, first off, let's start with the big Bahuga. Is that a thing? Big Huga? Wait, what's the
Kahuna?
word?
It's
Kahuna. Thank you. Bahuga,
sure
Kahuna. I mean, it's just
kind of like you're trying to
Bahuga.
say new
I said
Rams receiver
Bahuga.
Puka Nakua. I was like, that's not exactly what you're
God
going
knows
for
I
here.
can't say that. God knows I can't say that if I tried.
Exactly.
But
So
anyway,
big Kahuna. Yes.
Kahuna. Thank you. All right, so let's start with the big fish here. Is the MVP of the NFL is I think it's gonna be Joe Burrow. I think this is finally his year. If he and Jamar Chase stay healthy, this passing offense is, how about this for a hot take, the best offense in the NFL. And if our longtime listeners will remember, I broke down these odds earlier on with Joe Burrow being MVP. And it was funny because I was looking at the stats. I'm like, God, Joe Burrows aren't as high as I imagined. And then I remembered Jamar Chase missed 5 games. And then on top of that, I looked, I'm like, why are all these Bengals players only playing 16 games? Did they rest all their starters? It was because of the Damar Hamlin situation. They canceled that game. So really, Jamar Chase missed 6 games this last season. So if Jamar, and again, I'm saying this name a lot, but it's because it all depends on this man. If Jamar Chase can stay healthy, I think Joe Burrow can put up Patrick Mahomes-like numbers. This guy rushed for 5 rushing touchdowns last year. Patrick Mahomes did not rush for that much more. It was 6 or 7. And so I think that Joe Burrow has the potential to get to those stats. It's just if his offense can stay healthy enough to get to that point. So I think Joe Burrow is an absolute shoo-in, again, if his offense stays healthy, to be MVP. Now, Offensive Player of the Year. Let's be real here, Murr. This goes to the running back of the year. Or the receiver. I guess, or the receiver, to be fair. Or the receiver. It's basically the guy who should be the MVP running that doesn't get it because he's not a quarterback. Yeah. It's a lot like the Heisman vote of like, if you're not a quarterback, you're not going to get it. So who's going to be the best player that is not a quarterback on their team? I'm surprised you're not wearing his jersey. It's Christian McCaffrey, baby. Like that dude is going to rock it this season. You proposed this bold take just a couple of weeks ago where you said he was going to have a 1,000 season, 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving. I don't even think that's a bold take, dude.
If he stays healthy, it's very legitimately that it can happen. So yeah,
that's the key right there. That's the key right there is, can he stay healthy? But if he stays healthy, am I wrong here? I think he's a shoo-in for Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh, easily.
All right. So then moving into Defensive Player of the Year, this is a guy, maybe I'm eating into Hard Knocks hype a little bit. Sauce Gardner. I think it's going to be Sauce because he looked damn good in that one preseason. Granted, it was only one, but that one preseason game he played in, ooh, did he look good? On top of that, he is in a division with the New England Patriots, a division or a team that just cut 2 of their quarterbacks and got Matt Corral, who we were discussing last episode, might end up starting for them. Which, no offense, Matt Corral, not a great sign if that happens. So I think that that's a great sign. And on top of everything else, you look at who the Jets are playing. They play on top of playing the Patriots, they play the Cowboys. And I don't know about you, but down here, people love talking about how turnover prone Dak Prescott is. They play the Giants. Daniel Jones, good runner, not a great passer. They play the Falcons. I don't even fucking know who their quarterback's going to be by week 14 when they play them. And then they play Houston and Washington to close out their season. That is a lot of interception opportunities, my friend. So I see a very, very good year for Sauce Gardner. I see Depot absolutely in his future. And don't forget, a lot of these awards is about media hype. And name one more team that has more media hype, especially with Hard Knocks, this season than the New York Jets.
No, you make a good point. Make a good point. It's very possible.
Good podcasting. Okay.
I think the thing that worries me the most is just we may see that sort of syndrome of like, Nam Diosable when he was with the Raiders. It's just like he's not going to get enough balls thrown his way to then get the numbers, because that's the whole reason why Stephon Gilmore won it a handful of years ago, is that, yes, a lot of people were throwing his way, but then he was able to force the turnovers too, which then led to him getting a bunch of tackles and led to him winning Defensive Player of the Year. But yeah, the people are just staying away from Sauce Gardner. That's just hard to get the numbers then to then justify like this guy is Defensive Player of the Year. It's like, yes, in everybody else's eyes, it's like you're not throwing to him for a reason because he's that good. But I know a lot of people, they like to see the numbers behind it. So that's why I think he may fall short because of that then.
No, that's a very good point. That's the same reason Trevon Diggs got a lot of hype, even though he is a terrible corner.
Yeah.
He is not a good corner, but he gets burned so often. That's why he gets so many interceptions. He can
make it up with the turnovers. Exactly.
Yep. So, all right. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going, it's not a sexy pick, but I got to go for it. It's Bryce Young.
Okay.
It's Bryce Young. I mean, because what is the main downfall of most rookie quarterbacks, especially, a certain quarterback on a certain team being the Colts, is the lack of talent around them.
Yeah.
But Carolina has done an excellent job of making sure that Bryce Young does not fall in those pitfalls with the additions of Adam Thielen. I'm blanking on the tight end. This is so bad. What's the tight end they signed?
Hayden Hurst.
Thank you. So they're surrounding him with veteran talent, even with the departure of DJ Moore, to the point where I think they have a legitimate chance at winning this division. And once again, remember, a lot of these awards are a media, race. It's who does the media love more. And if you go from first to worst in Carolina, all of a sudden Bryce Young becomes the darling favorite there. Speaking of a media favorite, who is the guy that fell in who is this year's Aaron Rodgers?
When you're talking about defensive players, you probably had to say Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, you look at what that guy did. His first play in the preseason was a near sack, and he is a monster. This guy is starting fights. He is just the absolute defensive, leader that you want going forward. So I think that if he gets near or above, it's game over. But if he gets near 8 sacks, he will be Defensive Rookie of the Year, as he should be. Look, I know there are a lot of sketchy things in his past, but good God, Philadelphia, you can't keep getting away with this. It's not fair. So, I mean, you name one, and plus on top of this, you name one good, consistent line in the NFC East, I will show you a leprechaun.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're very right.
Okay, final 2 is Comeback Player of the Year. We also touched on this, so I won't spend too long of it. I know the odds-on favorite by a huge margin is Damar Hamlin. I think it's going to be John Mechie, the receiver in Houston, because he's going to actually put up the numbers to back it up. He's coming back for leukemia. You have all those great stories. So I think John Mechie is the Comeback Player of the Year for this year. And for Coach of the Year, how about this? Matt Eberflus.
I like that one. That's a little bit of a surprise one, depending on how the Bears do. That could be a good one.
But I'm glad you threw in that last thing, because the only way he gets this is if he beats the Lions. That's his one hurdle over here, because the Packers are going to suck. I don't think the Vikings are going to be very good. It's between the Lions and the Bears. And the media, again, I'm going into this media thing. The media loves rewarding these historic franchises. And so Matt Eberflus takes the Bears to, let's say, a 12-5 or 11-6 run where they win that. Oh my God, they're going to just gift it to him, because chances are Justin Fields is going to be one of the more electric quarterbacks, and people are going to love the highlights. The Bears are going to be on SportsCenter every night, and Matt Eberflus is going to be right there in those post-game highlights. So I'm telling you, look out for Matt Eberflus if he can overcome the Bears, which is doable. I'm not going to say it's easy, but I think it's doable.
You mean overcome the Lions, because you just said overcome
Lions,
the Bears.
So. Yeah, no, my bad. Lions. You're right.
Good picks.
Well, he will also have to overcome the Bears, which is also not an easy task.
That's something he'll have to navigate as well, figuring out what to do with those Bears and overcoming some of the troubles and hurdles and everything that's coming along with coaching the Chicago Bears for sure. So, but yeah, lots of good picks there. So I'm going to run through my gamut here of all of my awards. So I'm going to start the MVP award. Tad, this is actually a guy that you had picked as well, but you decided to divert as well. Yeah. I said it's okay to overlap because we're both so high on this guy.
It makes for better podcasting if we have different picks, though.
No, it's true. It's true. And I very much like Joe Burrow as well. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think Elliot Bainbridge is probably high on this one as well. Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, it just can't be said enough that it's just like, say what you want about Brandon Staley's coaching's hot seat or whatever. Like maybe he should have been fired last year. Maybe we'll see what happens this year. But Kellen Moore is going to elevate Justin Herbert and that offense, and he's definitely going to put Justin Herbert in the MVP conversation. So yeah, I expect really good things from Justin Herbert this year, and to be the start of that MVP conversation for sure this year. Offensive Player of the Year.
Don't forget, by the way, Austin Eckler on a contract here. That's scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be very interesting as well.
He's going to be so goddamn good.
Offensive Player of the Year. I know you said this usually goes to the best non-quarterback, but this actually sort of aligns with my bold prediction that I had made from our quarterbacks episode that we've done about a month ago or so. I'm going to pick Jalen Hurts as the Offensive Player of the Year. I think he'll be in the conversation for the MVP award as well, but like I said, I think just Justin Herbert leading the Chargers to compete for the division. I don't think they're going to win it, but they're going to compete for it. They're going to be very competitive. I think he wins the award, but Jalen Hurts will get the sort of quote-unquote consolation prize of getting the Offensive Player of the Year award. My bold prediction was that he's going to have 4,500 passing yards and 4,500 passing yards and 45 total touchdowns. So if he sort of beats those marks, he's 100% in the MVP conversation, but I think he's also going to win Offensive Player of the Year award. He finished third last season, so I think the only place he can go is up from there. So I expect a lot of big things from him. Defensive Player of the Year award. I'm going with Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys. Like I think he was close last year. He finished second, only behind San Francisco 49ers is Nick Bosa, who's currently unsigned. So I think that may actually be a negative for Nick Bosa, which will be a positive for Micah Parsons. Like if Nick Bosa has to miss a couple games here, Kyle Shanahan's already said that there's a possibility that they may happen. Micah Parsons just plays all 17 games, another year in Dan Quinn's system. Like, I mean, he's already acclimated to that system. He's back-to-back 13 sacks in Dan Quinn's system as well. So I really expect him to just take it to another level and come away with the award at the end of the year. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know you said that it's sort of like, the obvious pick here. You went with Bryce Young. I'm going with another obvious pick here. I'm going with the running back, Bijan Robinson from the Atlanta Falcons.
You son of a bitch.
I know you're not as high on him. A lot of people are a little bit worried there. Another good pick would be Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think just Bijan Robinson is just going to get so involved in that offense. They're going to give him a ton of carries. He's going to be involved in the passing game too. It's just he's a shoo-in for the award. That's the way I see it.
You did the thing.
So, yeah, we'll see exactly how it all plays out. I think it'll happen. But yeah, we'll see exactly how it all plays out there. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go to the Houston Texans. I'm going to go with Will Anderson Jr. I mean, just
fair pick.
It's looking like it's going to be a good pick with him landing under DeMeco Ryans, a defensive-minded head coach. He's a good guy to sort of take tutelage from. I think he's really going to develop there. He's going to get a lot of sacks. Maybe the team overall is not going to be all that good, but one of the bright spots is definitely going to be Will Anderson Jr. I think he's got a good shot to rack up good numbers and come away with that Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Comeback Player of the Year award. I mean, Tad, we already talked about this. It's most likely going to be Damar Hamlin. Actually, funny thing is that I was looking on some betting odd websites.
Did his odds go up?
The funny thing is that there's a lot of websites that are doing. I know we did it with Bet Online a couple episodes ago, where I think he was the favorite at minus 400, and then I think the next closest was plus 200, if I remember correctly. But there's a lot of other websites. There's a lot of other websites that are like Damar Hamlin at like minus whatever it is, and then the field at plus like 485. So it's like clearly betting favorites are going like it's going to be Damar Hamlin. Like, it's just like you can take the entire field. And so, yeah, I think it's safe to say it's going to be Damar Hamlin. But one candidate that I'm going to nominate in case it's not Damar Hamlin, like I said, if they are looking for more stats, I don't think they are. They're looking for that more feel-good story. So it's going to be Damar Hamlin. But I'm going to say Calvin Ridley. The guy didn't play at all last season. And the fact that he's going to come back and he's just going to have what's the problem?
T. I'm calling timeout on the play.
All right.
Are you kidding me? You're aware that these awards are nationally televised now, right? I mean, Rob Gronkowski. Was it Rob Gronkowski? Who's the tight end that rapped or whatever?
George Kittle sang last year, yeah.
Whatever. George Kittle sang last year. You really think the NFL is going to be like, hey, this guy that broke all of our rules on gambling, here he is. Like, they're going to, like, put him out there to display. You really, wow, okay, all right.
I know it's sort of impossible to believe, but I think he's just going to put up such a sensational season that it's like it's hard not to give him the award after not playing all last season exactly like you're sort of saying.
Friend, you are
Because of the
underestimating
gambling
the
issues.
NFL's.
It's
Yeah,
just
no, exactly.
I understand, but just he would be my candidate if it was not going to be Damar Hamlin. Like I said, most likely it's going to be Damar Hamlin winning that award.
It's going to be Damar Hamlin.
And then I'm going to close this out with another person that I brought up before in our previous betting episode as far as the coach of the year candidate. I'm going to go with Robert Saleh of the New York Jets. I think just the fact that I think the New York Jets are going to make the playoffs, and it's been a while since they even made the playoffs. So I really think because of the fact that Robert Saleh will be able to lead this team to a playoff berth, that alone will put him in the conversation to win the Coach of the Year award. So he is one of my picks, or the pick, I should say, not one of my picks, but he is my pick to win the Coach of the Year award. So that was pretty quick, Tad. We ran through all those awards.
That was good.
Pretty
that was
quickly.
Good. I'm proud of us.
But,
I'm proud of us.
We got a lot of content to get to.
Ooh,
so,
yes,
that's why we can't really mess around here. We can't dilly-dally here. So let's get into our next segment here, Tad. Something that you're a big fan of, obviously, is the 2024 NFL Draft.
Yeah, let's do it.
Preview here of who is going to be, who is our projections to be picking in that top 5. So you can either go like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You could go like in no order whatsoever. Like, whatever you want to do. But who you think is going to be in that top 5 when it comes to 2024 NFL Draft order?
Hold on. There was miscommunication here. I'm sorry to do this live on air. I thought we were doing a full first round mock draft.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah, see, you always say that. Why do you always?
We have so many other things to get to besides the draft.
Fine. You always do this, but fine. I will limit my draft analysis, you bastard. Anyway, number 1. How about this for a hot take? Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Really? Okay.
Really?
I think
the hot take is always Arizona. We were having this discussion on the LAFB Slack I think that was last week or 2 weeks ago, where people always predict this one team will get the first overall pick. And granted, most of the time they're close, but they never actually get there. So I think that while everyone's projecting the Arizona Cardinals to have 1 and 2, I don't think so. I think that Arizona is not going to get the number 1 overall pick because you look at their division. That division is so weak that I think they will end up winning more games than they should, and they probably want to. And look, when has tanking ever worked? Like, name one time tanking has worked in the NFL.
You could probably say Miami with their tank for Tua. It kind of worked out a little bit there.
But even they remember because everyone thought they were going to get the first or second overall pick. They're just lucky Tua got hurt, so he fell to like the 6th overall pick or wherever they took him.
No,
so
you're
like
right.
even
you're
then,
right.
tank for Tua didn't really work. They just got lucky that it worked out the same way. So my entire point being is tanking never really works the way you think it is. So I think Tampa Bay has no quarterback. Well, I don't think Tampa Bay has no quarterback. I know Tampa Bay has no quarterback.
Yeah.
And they're in it's a weird dichotomy. And by that, I mean, they are in a division that is really bad, but they're all equally bad. So I think that division's going to like cannibalize itself to the point where Tampa Bay is going to tank because every other, team in that division, even Atlanta, at least has a hope at quarterback moving forward. So I think every other team's going to be better than them, and they are going to beat them at some point. If you lose half your division games, you are in play for first overall pick. So I think Tampa Bay, first overall, that's probably going to be Caleb Williams, even though it should be Drake May. But second overall, I do have the Arizona Cardinals because, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Good to know. Number 3, Indianapolis Colts.
Wow, really? You're going to think they're going to do that bad that they're going to put 3?
Well, I'll tell you why, though, is because we saw how badly this team falls apart without Jonathan Taylor, and we are now without him to start the first 4 games of the season. So we are probably off to an 0-4 start to the season, and that demoralizes the team. That gets the team down. Honest to God, I would be shocked if Indianapolis won more than 3 games this year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's my mood heading into this year. That's one of the many reasons I'm very pissed off right now. At number 4, with the Texans pick, I also have the Cardinals. So I think
Makes
the
sense, yeah.
Texans are headed in the right direction, but they're just not quite there yet. Unfortunately, they like Will Anderson way too much. They better hope you are correct and he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year because they gave
We'll
up
see.
a fuck ton for him. So Houston headed in the right direction, but not quite there yet. So I think they'll end up in the top 5. And then, another AFC South team, Tennessee. I just think Derrick Henry, I think this is finally the year where he drops off, and Brian Tannehill is going to be benched at some point this season. They are in a division that, like I said, with the NFC South is weirdly bad, but also weirdly going to cannibalize himself. So I don't see Tennessee being all that good. They're picking number 5. That's where Drake May is going to go, and I'm very upset about it.
Interesting. Okay, so we got some similar teams there. The order may be a little bit different, and obviously this is still very preliminary, so I'm not saying this is for sure what's going to happen, but as of right now, this is sort of how I see it all playing out. So I'm going to start at number 5, and I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, okay, you're going okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with 5. So sort of everything that you said there, but like I said, I think maybe just for some reason I'm more optimistic about Anthony Richardson than you are. So I think as the season goes along, he'll get a little bit better. I think he'll be able to win them some games by himself with his rushing ability, a little bit of his throwing ability, and the Colts defense has sometimes played pretty well as well. So I think they're gonna do good, but they're not gonna be they're not going to be terrible. I think 3 wins is a little bit too pessimistic. I think that's just you with your heart on, your sleeve, or just with the Jonathan Taylor issues. Like, I mean, I know it's a very good possibility. That's why I'm saying they're going to be at the top 5, but I think they'll be right at 5. That's where I'm sort of sliding up here. Number 4, I got Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pretty much everything that you said. Baker Mayfield or possibly Kyle Trask if they decide to switch him out.
I think they're both going to start at some point.
Exactly, yeah. So I think they're going to rotate them in. So as much as I like their defense, they have a lot of their returning pieces from their, Super Bowl win from a couple of years ago. They're just going to get too tired, and just the offense, the inadequacy of the offense is going to cause the defense to obviously let up some points, let up some scoring drives, and that's ultimately going to falter this team from doing anything very good in that division. So I got them at 4. Number 3. LAFC Network's not going to like me on this one, but I pick the Los Angeles Rams here.
Whoa!
I think just the combination of
Arnold,
Cooper Kupp with the lingering leg issues. I don't know what to expect from all that going on this season. Point. I know we haven't heard much about it, but I know he dealt with it last year. But Matthew Stafford and all his injury stuff, like what's going to happen with him long term the entire season? The defense has Aaron Donald, but who else do they got? Like, I mean, so it's just Aaron Donald.
No, they have Jalen Ramsey.
Not anymore. They don't got Marcus Peters anymore.
No, they have Bobby Wagner.
They don't have Bobby Wagner anymore.
Yeah. Shit. No, I will say this, though, on that is an interesting note. So I had my auction draft last night with my my fantasy football league with my friends, and a guy got Cooper Kupp for $28. And he was saying, we were all in like a, group chat together, and like a group video chat, and he was like, I can't believe I just landed that. And we were all like, I don't know if you just landed that. Like and that just shows you like the top receiver from last year going for $28. And even then we were like, that might have been a little high. Like that's a lot of doubt to throw into an offense.
I mean, obviously, hopefully for LAFC Network and Rams fans everywhere, Cooper Kupp's going to be fine, and they're going to be able to rebound perfectly just fine. But just for me, I think I'm leaning more towards the negative, that just things are just not going to go really well this season, and they're really just looking to possibly rebuild or tank to improve their roster overall, get younger, get some more talent, obviously, there. So I got them at 3. Number 2, I know you were sort of saying that I don't think it's going to go this way, but I got the Houston Texans coming here at number 2. Very much like you said. Yeah, I think they're going to be good. Exactly like I said, there's a lot of promise that we're going to expect from them, but they still have a lot of work as far as replenishing that roster and just getting overall a lot more competitive, especially in a weak division. They're still not going to be that competitive. So I think this year, unfortunately, is just a little bit of just getting your roster together, getting out the schemes on both offense and defense together, and then probably next year they'll be a little bit more competitive. But yeah, I got them at number 2. Obviously, that'll go to the Arizona Cardinals, who I have at number 1. I mean, just Tad, we talked about this in the last episode. I mean, just like They're trading away players. They're cutting their starting quarterbacks. Like, I mean, their actual starting quarterback may not even play this entire season. Their head coach cannot inspire anybody based on the video that's been circulating.
I finally watched that video. That you guys not overhyped that at all. That was rough.
So yeah, this is going to be a very rough one. The rough season, excuse me, for Cardinals fans. And the only optimism is that they may potentially have the number 1 overall pick to start grooming Caleb Williams and or Drake May, or if they decide to go with the non-quarterback, whoever it is. But
Michael Penix looking pretty good.
Could be, but just yeah, I don't see them finishing outside of that number 1 overall pick. Like I think that's a lock almost.
They should take they should just draft all Colorado players.
There you go. Just build a whole team with Colorado players. That could be something possible. But yeah, so that's an early look at the potential top 5 picks of the 2024 NFL draft. We'll see how it all plays out there. Now let's get to our next segment here. We're sort of talking about the kind of related, because depending on how your team finishes in the draft, that means your team did not do all that well. So that means it wasn't coached very well. So I think let's look at some potential head coach openings that could be available next offseason for some of those hot candidates that are coming out, obviously, so who do you think could be a team that could be looking for a new head coach come the 2024 offseason?
Well, I mean, you're already pissed off the LAFB people. I guess it's my turn now. I mean, let's talk about it. I feel like this is a guy with the hottest seat in the league. It's Brandon Staley.
Yeah,
and
that's a good one.
And here's a great story, by the way. And it just shows why I should stop doing Immaculate Grid at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
because you're gonna get a kick out of this. Really
quick, I think just the fantastic thing, Tad, is that like you're doing it 6:30 in the morning your time, but Tad is obviously 2 hours ahead. I'm based off the West Coast, and our good friend Chauncey Talese, we're in a group chat where we talk about our performance at Immaculate Grid. And yeah, we're getting these messages at like 4:30, 4:45 in the morning where I'm like, I don't even awake.
You're just like, what is wrong with this guy? I just found out, by the way, I can actually do 2 grids in one day.
You can,
early.
Yeah, because the board changes 6 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, if you did get a chance to do it. You could literally do one board and then wait like an hour or two, and you could do the
just
next
wait till I can do one before work and one after work. It's perfect.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
No, you are gonna love this story. You are absolutely gonna love this story. So one of the Immaculate Grids, Rose was name it Indianapolis Colt who won a Super Bowl. So obviously I'm going for the rarity score. So I go, okay, Brandon Stokely. So I'm typing in Brandon Stokely, but I accidentally typed in Brandon Staley. And my mind was like, holy shit, is that the same guy? I was like, how did I not realize that before? It's the receiver. No. That's why he's so good.
Gosh.
Wow. A solid hour there. I believe that Brandon Staley and Brandon Stokely
were the same guy.
Was the same person.
That's pretty ludicrous. I'd say that's just,
that's serious. That
early Dad for sure. That is definitely you were a victim of.
That coffee had not hit yet. Anyway, point being is Brandon Staley, not Stokely, but Brandon Staley is absolutely the hot seat, especially going into this year, because that dude has zero excuses now. He's got one of, if not the best offense. I know I said earlier that the Bengals had the best offense. Trust me, I was between the Bengals and the Chargers for that statement. Chargers are my second place just because apparently Quinn Johnson's fallen a little bit behind, which is troublesome, but whatever. Point being, though, is the Chargers offense is still really good. And on the defensive side, you have Joey Bosa, you have Derwin James. Those are 2 top 5 players at their position. You have zero excuse. I know you were in a strong division. I know you got to go up against the Chiefs twice here. I know you got to go up against the Broncos, who are probably going to be good this upcoming year. But you have zero excuse not to make the playoffs with a top 3, borderline top 3, absolute top 5 quarterback. You cannot keep underperforming with him. So Brandon Staley's seat is the hottest in my opinion. I really like this guy. I do. I really, really do. I don't think he's a good coach. He's a fine coach, but I don't think he's a good coach. Ron Rivera's ass is so fired.
Yeah,
he's so done. Like it's look, I really do mean this. I'm a big believer in Sam Howell going into the season. I think he's going to make a case to be the starting quarterback for the Commanders, the racial slurs, wherever the hell they call themselves moving forward. I don't know. But for Washington's football team, maybe they should just go with that. Sam Howell, I think, will be pretty good moving forward for them. But unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be good enough to save Ron Rivera's, job, because I think a couple factors. One, he's underperformed the last 2 years, not terribly so, but just not performing the level they want them to. And two, new ownership usually wants their own guys in there. So I think he's a lame duck at this point, unfortunately. So I think Ron Rivera is definitely out. Brandon Staley has a chance to, earn his job back.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the Commander specifically, that with the new ownership group, they want to make some changes. They obviously kind of want to get rid of like all the
They want to get rid of the team name.
They want to get rid of all the negativity that has happened before under Daniel Schneider's ownership. So yeah, that would include Ron Rivera there. So yeah, that's a very good possibility, depending on how they perform, that Ron Rivera could be ousted at the end of the year. So I got a handful of candidates actually that could possibly be gone.
All right. How about this? You go through them, I'll grade them. Like if it's an A+, that dude's definitely fired. If it's an F, I'm like, nah, he's good.
Maybe instead of doing a grading scale, do like a 1 to 10.
10 being he's fired?
10 being more likely to be fired, 1 meaning he's safe for sure.
All right, I got you.
Okay. So let's start with the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, we're talking about how terrible this team is going
10.
to be.
He's black. 10.
He's not black, though.
Is he not?
Jonathan Gannon is not black.
Oh, I totally thought Jonathan Gannon was black.
Oh my gosh, dude. He is. You saw the video. He is.
To be fair,
he is alabaster white.
To be fair, I have historical accuracy backing me up on that claim.
Oh my gosh. But I think we're talking about how terrible
he's white. It's an 8.
But still, just we're seeing how terrible the Cardinals are going to be. Like I said, they're trading away players, they're cutting their projected starting quarterbacks. I mean, there's a very good chance that they could do exactly what they did a couple years ago, where they fired Steve Wilkes after 1 year to go after Cliff Kingsbury to build the offense around Kyler Murray. So this could be a very similar situation where it's like they'll fire Jonathan Gannon to get a coach to groom Caleb Williams as their number 1 overall pick. So I mean, I can see that very much happening. So that's why I'm listing him here.
Steve Wilkes was black, right?
Yes, thankfully.
Oh, thank God.
That right.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
The next coach, I already brought this up before in our top 5 picks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Todd Bowles. I mean, I was just not a fan.
He's black. I got that.
I'm just not a fan of them letting Byron Leftwich go. I think he brought more creativity to the offense, even if they didn't have Tom Brady. But just, their more conservative approach, I think they'll go defensive minded. It's just not going to work, especially in that weak division like you talked about in the NFC South. There's just going to be a lot of just like mistakes that are going to happen, bad quarterback play, and it's all going to fall on the head coach, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'd see Todd Bowles as possibly being a firing there.
8.5.
8.5. Okay. All right. I have to throw this team in here because of the changes that they made. The Dallas Cowboys with Mike McCarthy. Like, I mean, for them to decide to move on from Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy saying that I want to run the ball more and I want to be a little bit more of an old school approach. You better repeat the same results then if you want to go with that approach. And honestly, Dad, this is a little bit of a hot take for me, but I mean, we'll get to this in our next segment, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. And that, for that reason alone, I think Mike McCarthy will then be fired because they want to get a coach who can actually move them along and get them to the championship game, because they've never got to that before the 1996 season. So yeah, it's going to be some changes coming in Dallas, especially with the way the team is going.
I'll give that a 4.
4
for this reason is the Cowboys coach, no matter who it is, because especially Jason Garrett reminded me of this, and you'll respect this as a fellow comic book fan. The Cowboys coach, ever since Jimmy Johnson, is the Batman villain, the ventriloquist. Guy with the little, like the puppet right there, where he's just like, as long as Jerry Jones has his arm all the way up his ass to the point where his elbows, at the point, like, his job is good. Now, the thing is, I don't think Mike McCarthy does as good of a job as that as Jason Garrett did. That's why Jason Garrett held on for so long. So all it takes is one bottle of Johnny Walker Blue, and I agree with that.
Fair enough. I'm going to go to the Cleveland Browns next with Kevin Stefanski. So I think regardless of how the Browns perform, so if by some miracle, honestly, it's one of the scenarios that I was sort of playing with as we're doing our playoffs and our Super Bowl winners, is that there's a possibility that every team in the AFC North can make the playoffs this year. Like, I'm pretty optimistic about that. But honestly, I think the Browns are going to fall a little bit short. They're going to make some positive strides. But regardless of what happens, whether they make the playoffs, whether they don't make the playoffs, I think We've talked about this before. The Browns are tied to Deshaun Watson, so they need to make sure they can get the most out of him. So even if Kevin Stefanski adjusts his offense to be more pass-friendly, I still think they go with a more pass-friendly head coach in the offseason to really get the most out of Deshaun Watson. So yeah, I think regardless of how the Browns perform this season, unless by some miracle they get to the Super Bowl, Kevin Stefanski's out.
I would give that a 6 or a 7. I agree with that. And here's the worst part of Stefanski, exactly like what you said. He would have been the best coach ever in the 2000s.
Yeah.
But man, he just became the head coach in the way wrong decade.
I think he would have been fine too, but the fact that they decided to go after Deshaun Watson and cripple themselves by giving him all that guaranteed money, it's like now they have
money, but giving away all your draft capital too.
Well, yeah, that too. I mean, like I said, just crippling their team to really it's all about Deshaun Watson now. So it's like Kevin Stefanski would have been fine before because he was rolling with the likes of Jacoby Brissett and Baker Mayfield and all those guys. So he would have been fine to have that running attack. But now it's like, since you have to go pass first with Deshaun Watson, you really need a guy to really get everything out of him. And unfortunately, I don't think Kevin Stefanski is that type of guy. So yeah, I think he's going to be gone in the offseason. The last guy I want to bring up, we're not a huge fan of his. I don't think he's going to. You're definitely not a huge fan of his, Tad. And that is Josh McDaniels of the Las Vegas Raiders.
10.
Put your personal bias aside. Put your personal bias aside here.
9.
But yeah, I think Tad, unless Devontae Adams can do his best Travis Hunter impression from the University of Colorado, like if he can't help on both sides.
Dare you? Come on.
I'm sorry. I know. The wound is maybe a little bit fresh there, but seriously, it's like, their offense, I think, could be as good as Josh McDaniels can make it, but I really have serious doubts that this defense is going to be able to stop anybody. It's like, I love Max Crosby, but outside of him, I don't really have a lot of hope for everybody else. Maybe Travis Wilson, the new rookie out of Texas Tech, could be improved there, but just maybe Merrick too, but just like still, that's
I'm doing the TCU homer thing. Merrick's fine.
You're grabbing at straws exactly. Here. It's just unfortunately, it's just that's all you're doing. It's just like I don't think there's much hope for that defense, and because of that defense, it's going to lead Josh McDaniels to be fired. I think they need to move on and really improve that defense. Maybe go defensive minded. I don't know, but just unfortunately, I think Josh McDaniels, he's out.
Yeah, he's done so.
All right, Ted. So we're saving the best for last year. We're getting to our division winners. We're not going to go through the entire tree like we've done in previous years. We're just going to go give our division winners for each division and then our Super Bowl pick and a final prediction score, Tad. So I'll pass it to you here first. Who are your division winners and then your eventual Super Bowl winner and your eventual Super Bowl final score?
All right, my math is bad here. I'm about to go, 8 for 8?
Well, I guess you have to go 9 for 9 because you have to get the Super Bowl right too. So,
well, I'm counting just divisions for now. We'll get
okay. Then yes, 8 for 8. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
There we go.
You need to clarify then.
I know that's fair. All right, NFC West. Congratulations, buddy. I got your 49ers absolutely walking away with that one. AFC West. I see that one as a tighter competition, but I do think the Chiefs, as per usual, will walk away with the AFC West crown yet again. NFC North. This is my first hot take. Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears upset the Lions just once. The Lions will drop a couple ones they shouldn't. Chicago Bears will be division winners for the first time in forever. AFC North. I think and like you said, this could be a division with 4 playoff contenders, playoff appearances,
playoff
whatever.
Teams, yeah.
Playoff teams. Thank you. Why did I blank on the word team?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But I think in a very tightly contested division, the Bengals with that offense, with a pretty well put together defense, they have some holes. They will walk away with the crown. So I have the Bengals winning the AFC North. The NFC East, fairly easy. Eagles. I mean, it's just that's not going to be a good division. Sorry, everyone. But AFC, or sorry, I said AFC East for the Eagles. NFC East, the Eagles win the AFC East. Yeah, another hot take here, maybe. I'm buying the hype. I think the Jets are going to win it.
Okay, you're buying the hype.
I have the Jets winning it. I think the Bills' defense with Von Miller missing those couple games and their offense with just missing it just feels like the Bills' offense is just missing that like one key piece. Like that one guy where if like they shut down Stephon Diggs, okay, we can still depend on this guy. I don't think they have that guy. Maybe it's Dalton Kincaid. That's probably why they drafted him. But I don't think they have him yet. So I think the Bills drop a couple and the Jets end up winning it. I am still not a believer that Tua can make it through a full season. So that's why I'm counting out the Dolphins. With the NFC South, I'm going Panthers. Worst to first, baby. Let's do it. Like I said, they have enough veteran talent around Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a good enough quarterback to step in immediately and make an impact. I think the Panthers have a real shot at winning this division because, in my mind, is a 2-team race between them and the Saints. And God knows I do not trust Derek Carr anymore. And then finally, with the AFC South, I mean, is this even a fucking question? It's the goddamn Jaguars. Who cares?
Yeah, no, that's for sure. That's for sure.
So, all right. Well, moving on to happier news. Well, not really, because I don't like this team either. But I think the Super Bowl matchup will be the Bengals versus the Eagles. And I think this is where the Eagles redeem themselves from last year. I'm taking the Eagles to win the Super Bowl over Cincinnati, 35-24.
Nice. I like that Super Bowl pick for sure. I like that pick for sure. So, all right. So I'm going to go through my division winners. So I'm going to start at the top here with the AFC North. Yeah, I think this is going to be the tightly contested division out of all the divisions this year. But I like the Baltimore Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson stays healthy the entire season. And he really revitalizes that offense.
No. You're doing
I think he's healthy the entire season. They play really well. Him and Zay Flowers connect really well together. Him and Odell Beckham Jr. connect really well together. And that defense plays at an all-worldly level as well. So I like them to win the division. But it's going to be close. They're going to have to really dig deep to win a lot of those games. So I got them in the North there for the AFC side. NFC North. I know you said you're not as high as the Vikings, but they won the division last year 13-4.
They could do it. I
think they could replicate this year as well. I don't think they're going to go 13-4, but I think they're going to win the division as well, though. So I got them winning the division for a second straight year. Now I'm going to go to the East here with the AFC East. I'm going with the Bills. I think it's just, I think they have that regular season mojo. A lot of teams are very good in the regular season. All of a sudden they get to the playoffs and just for some reason things start to fall apart. So
I think that's a literal story of the Bills franchise.
It very true. And so honestly, I know we're going to talk about our playoff trees, but I have the Jets making the playoffs, playing the Bills in that first round in the wild card, and I got the Jets in an upset. I got the Jets upsetting the Bills.
All right.
And it's going to lead to a lot of breaks. Stephon Diggs is going to be really upset. He's going to ask for a trade. They're going to trade him away too, and the Bills are going to be in a state of disarray. So that's sort of what I predicted. A little bit of a bold prediction there.
You just know he's going to Dallas.
God, I would hate that.
Yeah, you would hate that. You don't live down here.
Would too. But yeah, so I got the Bills winning the AFC East, even though they won't make it part of the playoffs. On the NFC side, just like you said, I got the Eagles. I think they got a pretty easy division there to win. I think there'll be some tougher games. I think Commanders will give them some fights. Cowboys obviously will. The Giants will too, but close. Eagles have a pretty easy chance to win that division. Now let's get to the South, AFC South. Sorry, buddy, but yeah, it's a pretty clear-cut winner, just like you said. Jacksonville Jaguars are clear ahead, the best team in that division right now. I mean, just the other teams are, maybe they'll get there. Maybe they'll get there, obviously, but just as of right now, Jaguars are the clear front runners to win the division.
The word you're looking for is shit show.
Well, from the AFC South to the NFC South, it's a very similar situation there. But I like the competitiveness a little bit more in the NFC South, unfortunately. But I think we're both in the same boat here. I like the Carolina Panthers as well. I like the veteran coaching staff that they have. The young quarterback and Bryce Young, led by a bunch of veteran playmakers, on the field with Miles Sanders, Hayden Hurst, Adam Thielen. Lots of those guys are really going to make him a lot better too. So I like the Panthers. I think the rest of that division, like we talked about the Buccaneers being bad, the Falcons are going to be good at times, but they're going to be inconsistent. And the Saints, like with the whole Michael Thomas issue, Derek Carr's going to be good at times.
Don't forget Alvin Kamara's out.
Alvin Kamara's going to be suspended for 3 games. The defense had a lot of issues last year. Honestly, I don't like Dennis Allen as a head coach either. I think he sort of mismanages a lot of things there. So that's going to be their downfall, whereas the Carolina Panthers will be able to ascend there. So I got the Panthers with the NFC South. Lastly, we'll close it out with the AFC West. It's going to be the Chiefs. Like, I mean, I think, like you said, there's a lot of teams that are going to give them a fight. It's going to be highly contested. I like the Chargers to give them a run for their money throughout the entire season. But yeah, the Chiefs are just, unfortunately, they're just head and shoulders above everybody else right now. Yeah, it's unfair, but just they're the current dynasty that we had with the Patriots a couple decades ago. That's kind of what the Chiefs are happening right now in the AFC there. So I got them winning the division. And yeah, I think the Niners and the NFC West, just once again, unfortunately, everybody else in the division is not going to be that competitive. So it's almost like a cakewalk for the 49ers to win that division as well. Super Bowl. I got the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl. So just like you do, but I'm playing the homer card. The Niners are going to be
no, what? Yeah, you haven't played it all night. I'll allow it. I will allow it.
I think just like I said, maybe just is this me buying too much into the hype with Brock Purdy finally looking like the quarterback that solved all of our quarterback issues. The defense looks really good. Even without Nick Bosa, I really like what we have on defense as well. Christian McCaffrey and that offense. I mean, just everybody just clicking on all cylinders. I really like it to finally all come together. And like we talked about, that monkey coming off Kyle Shanahan's choking in big games sort of thing, that's finally going to come off his back. And I think they win the big one. I got a final score of 35-31. It's going to be high scoring.
Okay. Well, I mean, that would be a high scoring game. I could definitely see that because chances are half your secondary is going to be hurt for that game.
Very possible.
I will actually, it's funny. I almost sent this to you earlier today. During my lunch break, I actually saw an interesting stat where granted, it's a little unfair. I don't like the way they framed it. And I mean it by this of like, everyone's talking up Justin Fields and he had like 15 passing touchdowns or whatever throughout the entire season. And Brock Purdy had 17 passing touchdowns in half the games. Well, okay, that's not a fair way to frame it because Justin Fields is obviously a very different quarterback than Brock Purdy. So not fair. But on top of that, I was shocked those were Brock Purdy stats in like 6 games. I was like, what the shit? I was like, I didn't watch a whole lot of 49ers until you guys made the playoffs. And then when you made the playoffs, Brock Purdy got hurt. And so I was like, I barely ever watched Brock Purdy. And like, I thought always he was just like, oh, he's a very capable game manager. Those stats show like, no, this dude has it. Like he really could end up being the guy for you. Fuck it. I'm going to go for the overhype train. You guys might have found this generation's Brady.
It very well could happen. I'm really, like I said, I'm trying to stay grounded with this. That it's like we finally solved all of our quarterback issues and we got this guy very last pick of the draft and he's sort of living up to expectations. And if he can sort of replicate what he did last year, then yeah, we are going to be perfectly fine, especially on that rookie contract and everything. So it's like, yeah, I'm very optimistic, but yeah, I try to stay realistic as well, and just like not get too overexcited about what I
the guy who just predicted them to win.
I know exactly. I was just about to say the same thing. I was like, says the guy who just predicted the Niners to win the Super Bowl here at Super Bowl 58. So, but yeah, I'm very excited for what we got with Brock Purdy. I'm
Super Bowl 58, by the way. Where is it? Do you know?
I actually don't. Is it Indianapolis?
Nope. It's in Vegas, baby.
Vegas, that's what it was.
So Ryan Dyrud, if you're listening to this, the Desai Guys Super Bowl episode sounds like an excellent idea to me.
Well,
all expenses paid.
LAFP Network famously goes on Radio Row, so maybe this year we can make that trip with them. We'll see about that. So we'll sort of get that all figured out.
I will skip school for that 100%.
But Tad, I mean, I know it's not the easiest for you with the Colts this season. I know it's probably a little bit too optimistic for me for the Niners this season, but overall, I'm glad football's back. Like, I mean, this is just my favorite time of year. You know, the weather's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. It's not going to be as hot anymore either. We're going to be able to watch
especially down here. I'm no longer
up in Texas. I'm pretty sure it's ridiculous. But it's just a lot of great things are happening. Like I said, with football season, fantasy football, we talked about it. We'll be hopefully giving some great bets. We'll be doing some DFS action as well. It's an exciting time, and we really appreciate giving you guys all that fantasy advice. I mean, we say it every single episode. We will continue to say it every single episode. We are here to help you win your fantasy league. So, I mean, interact with us on our social media handles. You see the ticker. It's coming right down below. You got us on Twitter. You got me at Desai23. You got Tad at TadDesai94. You got the show handle at the Desai Guys. And, of course, on Instagram at the Desai Guys as well. So, hit us up with all your questions, whether it's about, waiver advice, whether it's about start sit, whether it's about trade advice, whether you need like hyper specific, like if you're in a dynasty league and you're trying to make some trades for the future because your team sucks this year, we'll give you that advice too. If you need IDP help, I play in an IDP league. Tad plays in an auction league. I know the draft is over, but he'll give you advice on that too. But I mean, guys,
by the way, way to creep on the draft, by the way, when you text me earlier.
Well, that's what happens when we share login accounts. So
but no, well, that's also fair. But no, like Murray was even giving me advice earlier today of like,
we give each other
why
advice.
Did you do this and that? And honestly, it was good advice. I was like, I sent him a clip.
We're not going to say it on the podcast because we don't want anybody else to get
we're not. No, we're not.
That advice that I gave.
That waiver period has not been reached yet. Exactly. But I sent it back to him saying, because I didn't think of it. And that's what we're here for. When you don't think of the smart move, one of the two of us is here for you.
Exactly. We help each other out, and 100% we're here to help you out with all of your fantasy football leagues as well. We want to help you win some titles, win some cash money, some trophies, some championship belts. Tad, have you seen those new team championship belts? Like, I mean, those seem kind of interesting.
Actually,
So, you know, depending if you
Could be
played a
something to
local
consider.
league, like you get a team championship belt. So, I mean, that's pretty cool too. But I mean, guys, whatever your prize is, we're here to help you come ahead and win all of your respective leagues. So make sure you interact with us. Make sure you listen to our podcast. So subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Listen, we're on the LAFB Network website as well. So subscribe. Always be up to date with our podcast. Watching us on YouTube. You probably saw that really cool intro, but yeah, make sure you're watching the actual episode as well. So subscribe. Always be up to date with our YouTube episodes. And of course, make sure you're supporting our parent network at LAFB Network. They're giving you a lot of great content on the professional level with the Rams and the Chargers, and on the college level, because college football has kicked off already. So they're already deep into action there. So they got you covered.
Trust me. No, it's really.
So they got you covered with the USC Trojans and the UCLA Bruins. So yeah, they got a lot of great content there. So guys, make sure you're following all of them, their social media handles. You're reading all their articles, reading our articles on the website as well. I mean, guys, to everybody who's already doing that, who's listening, who's interacting with us, who's reading the articles, who's, you know, watching our YouTube videos. I mean, guys, just anything and everything that you're doing to support us, we really can't thank you enough.
And just to prove, and I'm about to put Murr on the spot here.
Oh no.
Just to prove that there is no question too specific for us. I woke up this morning, getting ready for work. I'm not even joking. At 6 a.m., I got this question. I was like, come on, man. Wow, it's from a great former coworker and loyal listener. And buddy, I miss you. I hope you're doing good. Jason Davis asked me,
JD,
who does he start?
Let's go.
Who does he start this week? Jaylen Warren or Elijah Mitchell? Yeah.
That's a tough one. For me, I'd probably say Jaylen Warren, because, you know, honestly,
I would Elijah
with the
Mitchell.
Niners defensive line, what I saw in the preseason, there could be some holes that the Steelers could sort of take advantage of. And I think the Niners may use Christian McCaffrey maybe a little bit more than Elijah Mitchell to start the season. And then as the season goes along, that's when we may see more of a split share. So right now, I'd probably lean on Jaylen Warren.
Oh, all right. So a little disagreement between the Desai guys. I texted him Elijah Mitchell, so we'll see.
Okay.
But as always, like, there is literally no fantasy question we are not willing to take head on. So send them our way. And especially as, you know, look, we love the offseason. We get to do a lot of fun stuff, but we're about to head into the season. We are just, as of recording, 2 days away from kickoff, which is insane. But that means we're going back to our normal schedule of waiver wire and betting episode. And am I missing anything? Start 'em, sit 'em, right? Start 'em, sit 'em.
Yep.
Okay, so we got start 'em, sit 'em, waiver wire, and betting. Okay, betting may be an article. We're still deciding on that. Bottom line being is, if you need more specific advice we don't get to, you guys hit us up on Twitter. You gotta hit us up on Instagram. You gotta hit us up on YouTube. I don't know if you saw this, by the way, Amir. I'm getting a lot of love on YouTube right now.
There you go.
I love it. And I responded to the guy.
Perfect.
So bottom line is, when you contact us on social media, we contact you back. So we are here for you all season long. Good luck in your drafts. If you haven't had it yet, hopefully you have it soon.
Yeah,
I mean, that's coming up.
Let's go down to the wire here.
I mean, if you haven't, schedule that soon. But if you've already had it and you're looking for trades, American attest to this. I am out there already feeling out the trade market. So that as well, I'm here to help you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And as always, please stay safe.